For 6 minutes, Dr. Ellis.
Thank you very much, Chair. Minister, we've been down this road before with you, and I guess let's start with some simple questions. You like to use some very emotionally charged language. How many Canadians don't have a family doctor? Just a number. Simple.
Well, according to the most recent report that was just released by CIHI, it depends on province. So you say Ontario is at 88% who do.
Just the number.
The lowest province about 79%. Territories are lower, particularly Nunavut being the lowest.
Minister, I'm going to interrupt you because, again, you and I have gone down this road many times, and you said you've read the report. How many? I'll say it perhaps slowly and clearer for you. How many Canadians
across the country? It's known to be about 82% have.
Excuse me, Minister. Okay. Don't interrupt me. This is not your time for question. You'll have lots of time when you're in opposition to ask questions, if you so desire, or if you're able to keep your seat. That being said, how many Canadians don't have access to primary care in Canada? Just the number.
It's estimated at 6.5 million.
Actually, if you read the CIHI report, it says 5.4 million adults, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So tell me this, is that number going up or going down?
In every province and every territory, with I believe one exception, that the access to doctor is improving. There's been more doctors added, more nurses added. That's in the baseline CIHI report, so that's actually before our investment
again,
of $200 billion.
I don't think that's what I asked you, is the number of Canadians who do not have access to a primary care physician going up or going down?
Access is going up. That in the baseline report, we see every province and every territory access to more doctors, more nurses in almost every jurisdiction. That's a baseline report. That is before the interventions of our signed agreements with every province, every territory, $200 billion being applied.
But we know
and I
very
could talk
clearly,
about all the different ways that we're improving that circumstance, but conservative cuts certainly are going to help.
Again, if you don't want to be respectful, why do you even bother coming here?
I'm sorry, I don't find your questions or your demeanor respectful, so I don't know why I should reciprocate something that is not extended.
Point of order, Speaker.
Point of order, sir. Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. So I'm patiently listening to Mr. Ellis's questioning, and I'm failing to see any relevance to the topic in hand, which is this particular bill dealing with natural health products. So unless he's got a long-winded way of getting to the presentation that we heard and the bill that we are reviewing, like him to focus on the bill that we're talking about. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's valid. I'm not sure that there's a connection between access to family doctors and this private member's bill. This is not an examination of estimates where it's much more wide open. So
Point of order, though?
I do hope and expect that Dr. Ellis will get to the point. And I think it is a valid point of order. Did you have another one, Ms. Goodridge, or is it on this point?
I have a point of order on this point of order. The minister just very clearly said that he doesn't plan on respecting my colleague because he has decided that that is not something he's going to do. I don't think that is befitting of a formal committee meeting.
I think there's I think it's reciprocal, quite frankly, and it's too bad. The witness merits respect, as does the person posing the question, and that's why don't we treat everyone with respect around here, please? I wouldn't pin it on one side or the other based on what I've heard so far. Did you have something you want to say, Minister?
My reflection was simply that if I'm attacked and treated in the way that I am, I'm going to respond. And absolutely, I am here to answer questions.
Okay.
But I would suggest, Mr. Chair, that perhaps we could start with things germane to this bill.
Chair.
And perhaps in a way that's conducive to finding solutions.
Who controls this committee? Is it you, Chair, or is it the Minister?
Please, Dr. Ellis, the Minister has the floor.
It's ridiculous.
The Minister has the floor.
Ridiculous.
I do not. I can tell you that and look, I was in opposition. I've been in the position that they are in, where you ask questions.
Okay.
And I am saying that there's not only is the conversation not relevant, but I don't think that it's at all respectful.
Thank you, Minister. Now, Mr. Doherty has a point of order.
Mr. Chair, it is commonplace within this committee, as well as other committees that I've sat on, that the length of a question is then therefore applied to the length of the answer. Where the frustration comes with this minister is that he tends to go on beyond the length of the time that it took to ask the question. As you know, members are given a specific allotment of time, and it is frustrating when you have ministers appear, not just this minister, but other ministers appear. And I know that this minister is well versed in the art of what we call ragging the puck, and so are other ministers, taking up the time of each member. So when my colleague and others ask a simple question, just a number, that's all that they look to receive. If we wanted the statistics for each province, I would offer through you, Mr. Chair, that would then bode the answer that the minister was going down. I can see that my colleague has done research and has a number of questions that he would like to ask. So I would ask through you to our minister is that if and when he can be concise, to please be concise.
A point of order, Chair.
Yes, Dr. Ellis.
Yeah, I know this is painful for you. I understand that. But since when does a witness get to direct a committee? All I suggest to you, and I know you won't like this, but do your job.
Ms. Sito, do you have a point of order, or do you want to intervene on this one?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, we invited a minister. Let's be respectful. When we are asked the question, minister has the right to give the answer. That's my point. Thank you.
3 minutes and 37 seconds.
Thank you very much, Chair. So, Minister, before all of the bombast, back to the questioning here. When we begin to look at Canadians, of course, because of your mismanagement of the health file, they have to look after themselves by virtue of turning to things such as natural health products. So your ineptitude, of course, has led many Canadians, of course, which we've heard from, using natural health products. That being said, how many Canadian seniors are hospitalized every year because of pharmaceutical products?
I believe that I was here for natural health products. I don't blame the member for not wanting to ask questions about this terrible bill. I wouldn't want to talk about this terrible bill either. So I understand his desire to talk about anything but this awful bill. I could tell him, because I'll bring it back to the bill, 772 severe adverse reactions from natural health products. That this member is supporting a bill that would not allow our ability to recall products that have those kinds of. So the types of hospitalizations.
Chair,
Minister, please go ahead, Dr. Ellis.
Chair, you know, clearly what we're seeing here is an aversion to answering questions. Very simply, this will connect. I know it's difficult for you. How many Canadian seniors are hospitalized every year due to pharmaceutical products?
I understand that it's
just the number, Minister.
I understand that it's. I get the same amount of time as he asked the question. Is that the rule?
Yep.
I understand that it's difficult for you to understand that I'm here on natural health products, that is the purpose of this study, and I understand why you wouldn't
Thank you very much,
answer
Minister.
questions on it.
I will interrupt you once again. Just the number. How many?
I am here to talk about natural health products. It is the
so-
purpose of this study,
so
and I
once
want to
again-
talk about it. I'm not going to let you
Thank
off
you,
the
Minister.
hook to not talk about your own
Thank
bill.
you, Minister. Once again, I'll move along because you clearly have no clue how many Canadian seniors are hospitalized every year due to pharmaceutical products, which again are under your purview. Would you care to answer that on behalf of Canadians or no? Simple answer. If you don't want to, or you don't know the answer, it's okay.
What I'm not going to do is engage in an attempt to not talk about this bill. You have not asked any questions related to this bill because you don't want to talk about how deadly this bill is. The fact that you would leave
Thank you very much,
products
Minister.
on the
I'll
shelves that are
interrupt you
dangerous
there.
to Canadians' health.
You know, the difficulty, of course, is, Minister, is that 13,000 Canadians are harmed by pharmaceutical products every year. Seniors hospitalized, 13,000, just because people need a reference. All you want to do is talk, you know, down to Canadians about feces and lead, all your fantastical words, of course. That's what your attempt to do. Minister, very simple question. How much does the NHP industry contribute to the GDP of Canada on a yearly basis?
Enormously. It is a booming industry,
Just
a
the number,
multi-billion-dollar industry. Am I allowed to answer the question
Yeah,
in the
you've
same
got,
time that you
you've got
took to
another
ask the
25
question?
seconds to answer the question.
Thank you. It is a booming industry. It is a growing industry. It is a multi-billion-dollar industry. But one of the things that will protect that industry is ensuring that that industry is afforded the protection of being able to recall
Thank you
bad
very much,
products.
Minister.
I
Your
think
time
I
is
still
up,
have
but
10
once
seconds.
again, I'll ask you just for the
look,
number.
Mr. Chair, do I still have?
Yes, go ahead.
So one of the things that's, when you're
25
talking about
seconds is up,
adverse
Sean.
effects
No,
of
it's not.
pharmaceuticals, the idea that there's adverse effects on pharmaceuticals, so therefore you do nothing about natural health products? You just leave the people who have adverse effects for
Thank you,
natural
Minister.
health products with nothing?
Thank you.
How you draw your own conclusions. That being said, because of your negative effects on the natural health product industry, how many businesses are saying they're considering shuttering operations in Canada?
Vanessa's law does not affect any compliant or any business attempting to be compliant at all. Cost of businesses that are compliant or
Thank you
attempting
very
to be
much,
compliant
Minister.
is
You know, I
exactly
think-
$0.
Thank you very
$0.
much,
Thank you, Dr. Ellis. That's your time. Thank you.